say it in Hebrew?
Yeah, of course.
Erev Tov.
And actually, Lucy, let me ask you to say it in Arabic as well, because that's what kind of started getting into trouble. How do you open your broadcast every evening?
I open my broadcast every evening by saying, Erev Tov Lachem, Masa El Khair. This is Luci y Aharish. It's Itchem Luci y Aharish. And this is causing me a lot of trouble for some people. You know, some of the viewers of our channel doesn't really like the fact that I'm greeting in Arabic also. And I can say that on a weekly basis, we're getting some complainings from the viewers that that this is not okay, that I am basically greeting in Arabic, that this is an Israeli channel, that this is a Jewish country, and I should know where I am living, and I should know not to open the show in Arabic. And that caused let's say a lot of buzz, but I've been doing that for the last 6 years on my show. I started the show in the morning, so then I said Sabah al Khair, and then I started, and then when the show started being broadcast in the evening, so I said Masa al Khair. And for some viewers, it really irritated them, and they felt uncomfortable hearing me speaking in Arabic.
And so the minute we heard about the letters, since I'm basically a musician, a singer-songwriter, so we decided to take one of the letters and put on a melody, a nice melody, and present it as a song. And this is what brought birth to the song, Masa El Khair.
Yeah, because unlike other, actually, I have to say that unlike other letters that we got to the channel, that letter was actually written in a really polite, nice way. No, you know, nobody cursed me like other times. Nobody threatened me like other times. And that was like he just said, that it's not okay, and that my managers need to do something about that. So
you responded.
Saturday, what do you say? Maybe we should compose that.
Yeah, so you did, and we have a clip, so we're going to play it.
לברך בערבית, לברך בערבית, לברך בערבית, מסע אל חיר.
So, Sai, what is it saying? I mean, what does the song say?
Well, it talks, actually, it just talks about, the letter was complaining about the fact that Lucy is using Masa El Khair as a greeting in Arabic, and since it's a Israeli channel, there shouldn't be any Arabic, you know, spoken Arabic on the show. What I took out of it is actually, he said levarech. Levarech is actually to greet, you know, to give greetings to someone. He said, I mean, what's so bad in greeting? It doesn't matter in you know, in any language. It's something positive. So let's take that as kind of a chorus and just, you know.
So let me ask you, because it's one thing to have people upset about a greeting that you make on your television channel, but let's not forget that you guys are actually married, and you are in an interfaith marriage. As I said, Sai, you're Jewish. As I said, Lucy, you are an Arab Israeli, you're Muslim, and there's been a lot of backlash to that. What is the heart of the criticism, Lucy, that you guys are getting?
Basically that we got married, that a Muslim woman married a Jewish man. You know, yes, we got a lot of backlash, I have to say. There were a lot of bad comments from all over, like the Arab side and Jewish side, like extremists from both sides. But you know, if we had to focus on something, we want to focus on the enormous amount of love that we got from so many in Israel, like Jewish and Arab, that at the end of the day said, you know what, guys, this is your life. Do whatever you want. If you love one another, let love win, you know, the biggest cliche ever. And yes, I cannot tell you that it was not hard, it was not harsh, and it was not painful to look at all the bad comments that we are getting. But at the end of the day, you know, the day after the wedding, we got this post that principal in one of the schools in Israel started the day after the wedding in a school day by talking with all the students about tolerance and being equal and treating people in an equal way and loving no matter what. And at the end of that day, the students put on the wall this big poster and saying, love no matter who you are, what you are, and where you are coming from. Congratulations, Luci and Aharish. Well, for us, you know, that was not the purpose when we got married. This is what is coming out of this marriage. So, you know what? We did our job. So it's really important.
The respect each one's...
Yeah, go ahead, Saeed.
What I want to say is, you know, we understand completely that it's not something that is very typical, although it happens. You know, here in Israel, we have Muslim citizens and Jews and Christians and Jews. We have people from different religions working in different, you know, doctors and judges. So it's something that there is a mutual life. We can understand why, for some people, it's hard to, you know, to understand why, you know, whether it's on the Muslim side or the Jewish side, to keep, you know, to keep the heritage or, you know, whatever. Each one has his own idea, his own opinion, we respect it. And it's not that it was very also easy for us, you know, within our inner circles, but the minute we got the, you know, the backup and the love from our close families, then, you know, that was the most important thing for us. And like I said, we respect each one's ideas. And
so let's not forget that this is all happening in the backdrop of an unresolved war between Israel and the Palestinians, and an ongoing war, and no political or peace settlement. It seems like Yemen is doing more towards peace than Israel and the Palestinians right now. So simply to say that, Sahi, you play a character in this amazing drama, this really a viral Netflix hit called Fauda. And here's a little clip, because your character, Naor, impersonates an imprisoned terrorist in order to get information out of a member of Hamas. So we're going to play this little clip.
شبحوك الحيوانات؟ لا، يا ريت ضربوني وبعدها شبحوني. سألوك عني؟ لا. لكن عن شو استجوبوك؟ عن الانفاق وعن داعش. داعش؟ في جثة مع ابن الشيخ عبد الله. أعلن والأولى داعش. اليهود خايفين منه. بس صعب تصدق اليهود. كذابين كلهم.
So I just want to ask you what it was like playing that part, and several of you who are the actors, also, like many Israelis, served in the Israeli Defense Forces. I believe you were an undercover operative, perhaps doing some of these actual jobs when you were actually in the IDF. It's sort of like life imitating art, but just speak to that role at a time when, you know, there's still no real peace efforts between the two sides.
well, actually, I think what was special about Fauda, whether it's you know, the first season or the second season, the whole, you know, essence of Fauda, although it's not a documentary, it's a fiction. It does deal with this Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and you know, the fact of us, first of all, Muslim and Jewish actors playing together in this project, and besides being a great action series, I think it does expose this Israeli-Palestinian conflict in a certain way that is not exposed when you see it through the media. You know, eventually it deals, you get to know both sides, but you get to know the different colors. You get to know the humanity behind, you know, the fact of being a Palestinian or an Israeli. And and to understand that you cannot generalize. When you say Palestinians or when you say Israelis, it's not a whole. You know, on both sides you have different opinions, you have different people with different ideas, you have people with feelings that they all, they live, they have fear, they have hate, they have love. So I think in that sense, it made all of us as actors understand that we're doing something, we're part of something that is very important. And actually that scene, playing with Shadi Mar'i, he's a great Muslim actor that I had the privilege of playing. We both started our acting career in a movie called Bethlehem. So for me, those things was kind of, you know, closing a circle with him after 5 years playing together. It was incredible.
Well, you're talking about a really important thing, and that is an Israeli meeting a Palestinian, and actually, you know, developing empathy and feelings and understanding for each other. But I want to ask you, Luci, because you told us a while back that perhaps this enormous division, you said, we used to speak of it as a war between Jewish and Arab, Israelis and Palestinians, but it's not that anymore, you said. This is a war of religion. So, you know, there used to be a consensus amongst the Israeli people for peace and for a two-state solution. Do you feel that anymore?
You know, I'm optimistic. I'm an optimistic person. Like a lot of people are asking me, how can you still be optimistic about everything that is happening in the Middle East, about everything that is happening in Israel? And, you know, at the end of the day, I think that you can understand why I fell in love with this guy, because of this. Because at the end of the day, there is a lot of coexistence in Israel. There is a lot of coexistence in the regions, but us as media are not actually showing it. And you can, exactly on this phrase, by generalizing, and you can talk a lot about what is happening in Israel. You know, Christiane, I'm getting a lot of critiques inside the Israeli society about me criticizing either the Arab side or the Jewish side about things that are happening in the state of Israel. And a lot of times I was called a traitor. I was called someone who forgot who she was or where she came from. I was called by names or you know, threatened or 1.5 million things. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm living in a democracy, in the only democracy in the Middle East. And as an Arab, as a Muslim, as an Israeli, I know that in one way or another, I'm standing on some kind of a bridge. And this bridge gives me the opportunity to look at things in a different way. The course of my life, the things that I went and the things that I saw, gave me the opportunity to actually see things from both sides. And I can tell you today that both sides in this conflict are wrong, and both sides are not like saints. And, you know, I love my country and I love Israel. And for me, it's I'm always saying that loving your country is like loving your parents. Like, you know, you love your parents to death. You will do everything for them. But sometimes you can also criticize your parents. And sometimes you can say that, well, maybe I won't raise my children the way that my parents did. Okay. And this is the same way when I'm criticizing my country.
Yeah. All right, so, Luci.
I think that both sides have...
Go ahead. Yeah. Luci y Aharish and Saïd Halevi, I wish we had more time to talk, but you've made a very, very important point, and you are public about what love between two different sides can look like, and that is a pressure point, and we appreciate you being with us. So, from love to friendship, the barriers that seem to keep people apart can often vanish within minutes of actually meeting and talking. That is especially apparent with our next guest, Binyad Sharif and Maggie Anderson. He was an Iraqi refugee living in America. She was an enthusiastic supporter of then-candidate Trump's tough stance against Muslim refugees. It was only by a stroke of luck that the two met and developed an enduring friendship that overcame their initial differences. Their story went viral after the report was published on Mike.com, and they told our Michelle Martin about their transformative relationship.
Binyad Sharif, Maggie Anderson, thank you so much for being with us today.
So let me just start by asking how you met. I understand it was a photo shoot for Catholic Relief Services. Binyad, you want to start?
Yeah, so I was working with an organization in Tennessee, Nashville, where I live, and I heard about this campaign, and they asked me to be a part of it. Where Catholic Relief Services with a photographer called Jeremy Coward, they made this project to get together immigrants and refugees together with people who are in some ways fearful or aren't very welcome of immigrants and refugees. And so that's how I went into this. It was just a day-long thing, and that's where I was photographed with
Maggie.
Maggie. Yeah.
Okay, so Maggie, did you sign up for this, or how did you get involved with that?
I was actually walking in the mall trying to get my phone fixed, and someone came up to me. I kept telling them I don't want to answer your question because it was with the people with clipboards. And then eventually they asked me, "Do you think refugees should enter the country?" And I was like, "No." And I was the first person to say that, so they asked me to join this campaign, and I told them yes.
Really? What made you do it?
I love politics. I've been obsessed with it my whole life. They offered me $300 and I would have done it for free. I could go downtown at my small town and debate people for fun. So it was a really cool opportunity.
Did you realize that you were going to be paired with somebody from an immigrant background and take a picture together?
No, but once I got there, I saw people who were obviously refugees, and I was disappointed with myself because I should have saw it coming. In my head, I was of course they're gonna make me tell this to an actual person, not just ideas.
And so what happened?
I was taking my portraits, and then Binyad came, and they had us take a photo holding Muslim prayer beads. And then I had my rosary around my neck. I'm Catholic, and so I took it off. And then we took a photo where Binyad held the Catholic rosary, and I held the Muslim prayer beads.
How did you feel about that?
I was a little concerned at first, but at the same time, I really appreciated it because it was pluralistic. He was the opposite of what I pictured Muslim people to be in my head at the time.
And how did you feel about it?
Yeah. Well, I had no idea, even while I was being photographed with Maggie, I had no idea that she didn't want refugees to be resettled in the U.S. She was just a young person there, and we talked a little bit, very normal conversations, and
so you didn't get a vibe from her that she didn't like you, or she was scared of you. You got no negative vibe.
I didn't get that. Yeah.
So how did you find out later that she really wasn't digging your act?
Yeah, so we talk on the set, and she's like, "I've studied Islam and religions," and we talk a little bit more, and I asked her if she wanted to continue this conversation over coffee, and we exchanged contact information, and I found her online. And as soon as I go to her Facebook page, I see her Facebook cover photo of her at a Trump rally, and her news feed is very obviously all right-wing news sources, not welcoming refugees, things like that. And I think she got her Trump's autograph or something, very involved, and she was very vocal about it. All her news feed was headlines about refugees being bad or committing crimes and doing bad things to this country, which it came like a shock to me.
And when you saw that, did you still want to go get coffee?
No. I think she just tricked me, or she has another motive for seeing me. Maybe she's going to harass me or just make fun of me. I had no, it was unknown to me.
Maggie, tell me, I know that you're interested in religion, that you spent a lot of time studying religion. Your choice to embrace Catholicism was a choice, for example, something that you came to after a period of study. What was it about Muslims that so concerned you?
I was studying Islam a lot. My sophomore year of high school, I would say, I read the whole Quran. And in parts of Islam, there's a thing called Quranic abrogation. So, because it contradicts itself so much, everything in the back of the book, or the things Muhammad said later, supersede the beginning. And so the problem with that is that all the stuff in the back of the book is the not so peaceful verses.
So you associated it with violence and the hostility toward non-Muslims.
And terrorism in general, too. And I also taken an international terrorism class. But after that class, I continued studying, but the sources I had were very right-wing sources that, while obviously there is an issue with terrorism in the Islamic community, they generalized it to every single Muslim.
When Binyad said to you, "Hey, let's get together and continue this conversation," what did you think?
I thought he was going to try to convert me to Islam. So I studied so much about Christianity and the history and the Catholic Church because I was going to try to convert him to Catholicism. But then our conversation we had was just like a normal conversation that we respected each other, and we like talk about topics, but it wasn't like, it was like pluralistic in nature rather than like hateful.
And that surprised you?
A little bit at first, yeah.
Yeah, have you ever met any Muslims before?
Many, actually.
Really?
The one thing that like was bizarre to me is like I can't comprehend how I had these beliefs, because my senior year of high school, my two best friends was a girl from Pakistan and a girl from Kazakhstan. Only one of them was like very religious, but in my head I feel as though I blamed it on the male, like men in Islam rather than the women. I kind of saw the women and children as victims.
And what about the refugee aspect of it, or the immigrant aspect of it?
I was fearful that people would come and like rape statistics would go up and women would be abused and like gay people and hate crimes would occur. Those are like my biggest concerns, I guess. And so I was just fearful that with like a huge influx of refugees, like all the parts of America that I love would be like taken away, because it's like a relatively safe country in comparison. But I no longer find that to be true.
Bianca, I'm just going to ask you, kind of, is it hard to sit here and hear that? Like to hear that, like somebody sitting next to you thought that your family, other people that you know would be come here marauding, attacking people. Is that hard to hear?
It is really hard, and what's even harder is that she's not the only person to believe that, and it's I think it speaks to that a lot of people think the same way, and that is very unsettling to think about it.
You are born in Iraq, and your dad was a translator for the U.S. Army, and so tell me why it is that your family decided to leave.
Yeah, that's so my family, my dad, he worked with the U.S. government around the time when the U.S. forces came into Iraq around 2002 and 3. Iraq, as soon as I was born, Iraq has been in a turbulent place over the years. What my dad did when there was a promise for a better future for Iraq and a democratic, free future, and my dad really believed in that, and he wanted this new promising future, and he was willing to risk his life to help be part of it, and unknowingly that affiliation with the U.S. government had turned him into a target to a lot of people.
What was it that made your parents feel it was finally time to go?
Well, it was the final straw was that in 2014 was when ISIS was gaining a lot of stronghold in northern Iraq and becoming a much bigger problem, and it was, I think, that at that moment my father decided that it was time for him to get on this program that the U.S. government has established to resettle the allies to the United States. And he had the opportunity to do this before, but it was at that moment that was when he decided that it was finally time to do it.
And how long did it take before you were able to get your visas?
It took about 3 years. When they finally gave us the yes, it was around December 2016, around election time here in the U.S.
Were you following what was going on in the election in Iraq? Were you aware of the conversations that people were having?
We were very loosely following it. We weren't that detailed into it.
And then it did happen, that there was an attempt to impose a ban. It actually happened overnight. And then you were caught in that. I just want to play a short clip from that day.
This is my wife and this is my little daughter. I was denied the boarding flight to JFK.
Suleiman worked with the U.S. government in Iraq as a translator, putting his life on the line. It took 2 years to get approved for special visas for him and his family. Their original flight ended up being scheduled for just hours after the travel ban went into effect.
I sold my house. I quit my job. My wife quit her job. And kids left school. There are all these, and I paid $5,000 for the tickets. All went down the drain.
I can only imagine what that felt like, but do you mind trying to describe what it was like for you when you were on that plane and your family was taken off the plane?
Yeah, well, it was very, very nerve-wracking and a lot of despair I mean, I remember when they told us that they're not gonna let us board, I just completely fell to the floor and we were like just sitting there not knowing what's gonna happen next.
Maggie, you saw the story about Binyad on ABC when it first aired.
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
I was sitting like in the living room of my house with my sister, and I turned and looked at her and I said, this is liberal propaganda. They're taking one family story and generalizing it to all Muslims.
And then you saw it again.
Yeah, because I was trying to learn how to say his name.
And you realized it was this guy that you had just met.
I watched it, and it actually made me cry because I was so horrified. Because in my head, that's not the people I was stopping from entering the country. Binyad is not an extreme terrorist or an extreme Muslim. He's like far from that. I saw the statistics, not people. And after watching that video, I like removed the stuff off of my social media. And then I continued like researching, hearing other people's stories. And then at that point, I changed my mind about refugees.
Did you tell Binyad?
Yeah, I sent him a text.
I remember I couldn't believe what happened. I mean, I just checked his Facebook and she removed everything. And I was like, I realized how powerful it was to have interaction and, you know, have a human connection. So my reaction was, I need to tell somebody what just happened because I don't believe it.
And the rest is
history.
History, right?
Yeah,
the rest is history. So now you all are friends, right? You're sort of friends. So kind of let's take in here, Maggie. It's not that that information wasn't available before, and in fact, you saw Binyad's story before, and you chose not to believe it. But now you've chosen to believe it. Why do you think that is?
It was the difference between like seeing a video on the internet and then seeing like an actual person in real life.
So the question I'm having now is, what do we do with this? Because so much of the way we interact these days is projecting through like social media and stuff like that. What do you think in your friendship there's sort of a way forward for the rest of us? What should we do?
People in general and like Americans, when you talk about politics, they're so concerned about I need to be right and I need to change this person's mind instead of looking at an issue and saying this is a problem and what's the best way to solve it. So I feel like most people are so prideful in their opinions, at least in my case, where it's too hard to say, no, like I'm wrong. So people just start like getting upset rather than like actually listening, like actively to the person they're talking with.
But is there anything Maggie's changed your mind about?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of stereotypes, and I mean, I pictured Trump supporters as one prototype thing. I didn't view them as more complicated. There's a lot of people who voted for Trump for something that, like one issue that they believed in, that really wanted their political candidate to speak on that issue, and he picked up on that issue, and that's why they support him. And it's not that maybe that person is probably not racist at all.
I don't know if you still consider yourself a Trump supporter. Well, what was your main reason for supporting Trump? I mean, you've already said it as part of his policy toward immigration you agreed with, but were there other reasons?
Yeah, I agree. I still agree with some of the things that Donald Trump stands for example. I'm for free speech of all forms, like no matter what. And I found that he supported that more. I'm also like pro the Second Amendment, and I'm very pro-life. That's like one thing I will never change my mind about. And it's also part of the reason why I changed my mind about immigration.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I'm like so pro-life, and I'm always like so concerned about like you can't just kill, in my opinion, like the lives of a baby even if they're not born. But you can't just be pro-life for that person. I need to be pro-life for all people. So that means if there are immigrants that want to enter the country to like better their lives, that's like a pro-life stance as well. It's not just about abortion.
So you're talking to people in part because you want people to know that this kind of conversation is possible. Where do you think it goes next? Any thought about that?
What I wanted, my message is that to not take everything, you see, like a news story, for example, do not take that and believe in that like as your total belief. I think people there should be, everything is more complicated than we've realized.
Americans in general, on both sides, in my opinion, need to learn how to look at the other side with a like still with a critical eye, but with an understanding that what they're saying could be true, and there's a possibility that you're wrong.
So Maggie, has your friendship with Binyad changed your trajectory for your life in any way? I mean, has it changed what you want to do?
Yes. Now I'm planning on going to college to become an immigration attorney. So I've changed people's minds against refugees before in my past, just the things I've done in my town and debating people. And I feel morally obligated to undo that, but I also would like to help. Immigration is now one of my most important political issues.
Binyad Sharif, Maggie Anderson, thank you both so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for being open-minded.
Hearing the story of the other, the essential ingredient to any kind of conflict resolution, that and having an open mind. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching. You can always watch us online. Bye-bye from London.